What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to Vinny's Corner. I'm here with my boy Cove. Well, yeah, it says Cove on there. How's everybody doing today? So, guys, we got kind of I wouldn't say a packed show. I always say a packed show, but this week, hold on, give me 1 second. I got a TV on in the background. I got to make sure that's off. Oh.
Don't forget to share it all out.
Yep, I'm going to share it on X. But so this week, guys, a couple of things that we did want to talk about. There's a great boxing fight card coming on Saturday night, being headlined by David Benavidez and David Morrell at light heavyweight. That is going to be a great one. And then there's also a UFC fight night being headlined by Izzy Adesanya. So there's a bunch to talk about. Then, of course, we do have NFC, AFC championship that just happened and the upcoming Super Bowl. So let me just get this shared on X and we'll take it from there, guys. I'm excited to have everybody. As always, drop in with your comments. Let's go, Chiefs. Keegan, what's going on? I'm glad to see that you're here, man. Always good. Keegan's a new staple. Always drops in, talks a lot, lets us know what's going on. I love that. All right, let me get this shared out so everybody can see what's going on, and we'll take it from there. Home, Vinny's page. Quote. Oh, wait. No. That's not what I'm trying to do. Hold on. I know what I'm trying to do. Yeah. Share post. I'm a little handicapped today. There we go. Direct message. Boom. 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 What else we got? Elite content. Boom. As many places as we can share it.
Yeah.
We are live. All right. Send to all groups. Okay. That should be shared. So, yep. Okay, good. We're shared now. Excellent. Wonderful. All right. So, guys, as I was saying, and Keegan, I'm a Giants fan, so it's definitely let's go Chiefs for the Super Bowl. No doubt about that. We don't even have to talk about it. I'm definitely going with the AFC. I will never root for the Eagles, even if Saquon is going to win on his birthday. That's even worse. Not into it. All right. So, as I've been trying to do recently, guys, I like to give you guys a little bit more of a background on the fights that are coming up because, as you know, I do love boxing. That's sort of my thing. And then, of course, there's a really great UFC card on this weekend. So to kind of start off, we have David Benavidez against David Morrell. Why this fight's awesome. First, David Benavidez is a tough guy. He was at super middleweight. He's the guy that allegedly Canelo has been ducking for the longest time. He actually moved up in weight class because he wants to get belts. And he was able to do that because Canelo wouldn't give him the fight. People love him. His nickname's the Monster. He's a bad dude. And he's fighting a guy named David Morrell from Cuba, who's also a tough dude. The guy's really good. He's 11-0 right now. But David Benavidez is tough, tough as it comes. He's been the champ before. He was I think he was stripped of the belt at the time due to some personal problems or whatever, but he's back full-fledged at light heavyweight. And the winner of this actually gets the winner of the unified light heavyweight champions bout, the rematch between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev on February 22nd. So this is like the title eliminator, I guess is what you would call it. Set to be a dope card. The fight before that, Brandon Figueroa looks to get his get back, as they like to say, against Stephen Fulton, another former champ. That should be a really interesting fight. They're both really good guys. They fight, around 122, 126 pounds. They're smaller dudes, but both very talented. The last time I saw Stephen Fulton fight, he did win. He pulled out a decision, and before that, he had a tough night. He fought Naoya Inoue, and he did end up getting knocked out through the ropes. It does happen. Another former champion just lost his belt to Rayo Valenzuela. Isaac Pitbull Cruz is back against Angel Fierro, two Mexican guys. So that's going to be a banger automatically. And then last but not least, you've got the American Jesus Ramos against the Dominican Jason Rosario. So that should be another good fight as well. I'm pretty excited for the fight. It's a PBC bout. It's on Prime. So like any preliminary fights will be free on Prime, and then it will turn to pay-per-view on Prime. So pretty excited about that. If anybody's looking or needs any more information on the fights, just hit me on X. I'm happy to give you any information that you need. And the next big thing that is coming up this weekend, if you can see that, I'm going to talk a little bit about it. So you do have the return of Israel Izzy Adesanya at UFC Fight Night. This is kind of sucks. Well, yeah, so it's fight day for us, right? And so Keegan, you were just saying it starts at noon. I think you're located in the Eastern time zone. For us in the West, it's going to start like the early prelims, right? Like 9 in the morning. I'll be watching this fight all day. So pretty excited about it. But you got Adesanya against Imamov. The fight that I'm really looking forward to is the fight just before that, kind of the co-main event, Magomedov against Mike Venom Page. Page is my dude. If you've watched him fight ever, he's super exciting. I wish he'd gotten into the game a little bit earlier because, just like I said, he's one of the better guys to watch fight. So that's a really exciting one. Let me see what other fights we got on this card. Oh, nice. We got Pavlovich and Rosenstruck. Rosenstruck's a tough dude. Pavlovich is too. So that should be a good one. There's another Nurmagomedov fighting, which is always good. Guys with the hats, the Russian dudes, when they come out. Alascarov's fighting also on that card. Keegan, no one fights better than Michael Page. He is complete action. I love the guy. He's great to watch. He's very exciting. And there's a really, really good women's fight on as well. Canadian chick, Davies. She's really good to watch. I've watched her on quite a few cards. She hasn't won every single fight, but she is awesome. Definitely exciting. She's fighting Buena Silva. So that's going to be a really good fight as well. There's a lot of fights on here. I'm not going to talk through every single one because a lot of these guys, some of you guys may not know some of these guys, but Grad Alexander should be another good one. Alexander's a good Brazilian. That will be an exciting fight. Again, that fight starts nice and early. So it's in Saudi Arabia. So I believe it starts around 12 noon Eastern time in the Eastern. I just said Eastern time. And then here on the West Coast, it starts at 9 a.m. Pacific time. So it's, if you're into boxing, if you're into MMA, Saturday is going to be a kick butt day, full-fledged, all day long. Just really exciting. This is my time. Once the fights start back, I get super excited about it. You don't really watch fights too much, do you, Cove?
Nah. Never have the time to. Saturday nights are usually
violence in the emergency room, huh?
Yeah.
That's fair.
So.
Nothing wrong with that. So, guys, that's the basic stuff that we got on the fights. Now, it is NFL season, of course, right? We're now in the, quote, second season, the postseason of the year, where we just finished the AFC and the NFC championship. I was throwing a little nicotine in there. Who's that?
My mom.
Hey, Mom. How you doing? Well, the AFC Championship, I want to dive into that one first because that's the one everyone's really been talking about. I feel like, and I think you'll agree with me on this, actually, Cove. So, there's this whole narrative about the refs, right? Are the Chiefs that good? Blah, 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 blah. Honestly, guys, stop hating. Really stop hating. I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm not even allowed to root for the Chiefs, really. But my wife is a Raiders fan. But the Eagles are who they're playing, and she knows I'm not cheering for the Eagles. So she'll root for the Eagles because she's a Raiders fan, and I'll root for the Chiefs. Family will get along.
Did you see the Edelman put a poster with that? He's like, what the hell? The refs don't drop the ball. The refs don't screw up. The refs don't do all this stuff. You can't put it all on the – and that's because, listen, Edelman was a part of that Chiefs team, right? He wasn't there for all of it, but he saw that same – when he was a Chief, people would give that same sort of hate towards Tom Brady. It's kind of like the Tom Brady effect, and so it is what it is. I get it. Hey, my guy, you sound like me and the wife. I'm a Raiders fan. She's a Giants fan. So I guess you'll be rooting for the Eagles, and she'll be rooting for the Chiefs. You got to do it, Family's got to do what they got to do. But, so what I'm saying here, guys, at this point,
if you can't really get on board with the fact that the Chiefs really are that good, they just stop and say, hey, we are going to wait for the other team to make a mistake, right? That's what, in this playoffs, that's what the Bills did with the Ravens. They let the Ravens make the mistakes, and they capitalized. Yeah. They didn't have some amazing offensive game. They didn't. They were average at best. No. They scored, 27, right? Not terrible, but they could have done a lot more. The thing is that when you get to the Chiefs, you do not have the opportunity to be the one waiting.
They have so many weapons, and Patrick Mahomes, and everyone hating on it, but Patrick Mahomes is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the goddamn league. The boy knows how to win.
He's the best football player on planet Earth. Don't at me. I don't even want to hear the nonsense you guys are spitting about it. He is. Period. Yeah. Like, when they got to that game,
he's got skills.
Absolutely. Yo, my guy, a former football player, absolutely. Yo, throw it on there, and I love the comments, and we always address them. But right. So here's my thing. That team is so good, right? The game before that, Travis Kelce was like a machine, right?
Yeah.
But in the AFC Championship, he had one reception.
Yeah.
So the guy that you think he's going to go to the whole time, he didn't go to.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt was all over the place. I mean, honestly, Worthy coming out of the backfield as a running back. Pat Mahomes ran for 2 touchdowns. Like, whatever that team needs to do to get it done, they do it.
Yeah.
That's it. So, like, I get the hate. But to me, it's just a false narrative at this point. Like, if anyone's going to, okay, let's just say they three-peat, and I hope they do. Are you going to try and diminish that accolade by saying that the refs won it for them this season?
Yeah.
No, that's ridiculous. They were 15-2.
But the Chief haters are going to say that.
Absolutely. When I was younger, I would have got on board with all the Tom Brady narratives, but as I've grown, that's just not reality, okay? It's not.
No.
I love to say NFL scriptwriters and all that kind of jazz. I think it's a funny running joke, but I do not believe it.
But
I don't.
7 straight AFC championships, that tells you enough about the talent on that squad.
Dude, the guy basically, since he started, he's either in the championship game or the Super Bowl every year.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
He's 5-2 in the AFC. He's 5-2 in the AFC, like in the AFC championships, and he's 3-1 currently in the thing. And the only person to beat him was Tom Brady twice. He's only lost to one person. That was Joe Burrow in the AFC championship. No one else has beat him.
And I'm going to touch on that Joe Burrow narrative too, because Joe Burrow is awesome, but he's not elite.
No.
Period. No. Hopefully somebody's hearing that one too. I love when people get at me about this stuff because
you got 29 other quarterbacks and only one guy is in the league that can beat you. That's it. Like Josh Allen, who is arguably the MVP, couldn't beat him.
Listen, Joe Burrow's not unbeatable. He gets his butt handed to him all the time.
No, but Josh Allen, who is arguably the MVP this year, couldn't beat him. 3 times.
I'm gonna be honest. I think they're gonna give
Lamar Jackson can't beat him. Like,
dude. Okay, so and guys, people who are listening to this, chime in. Let me know what you think. I personally do not think Josh Allen is going to get the MVP. I think that Lamar Jackson gets his 3rd in a row.
Yeah,
that's what I think is going to happen. I don't think it's going to be unanimous like the last one.
Yeah,
but I do think that it's going to go to Lamar again. Lamar had 40 touchdowns and 4 interceptions during the regular season. And
his numbers are there. His numbers are there. Nothing against him. Like you say, it's either we knew it was going to be Lamar or Allen, but still, the two guys that were going toe to toe all season couldn't beat him.
So listen, since we are just talking about quarterbacks, Keegan, I appreciate that you can't stand Joe Burrow either. This is what I'm going to say. Okay, I don't even think Pat Mahomes should be up for the MVP anymore. I think Pat is on this level. And then on the next level below him, Pat's in his own world. Okay. Yeah. So I don't even want to hear about people telling me that these quarterbacks are better than him. They're not.
No.
Period.
No.
End of discussion. Pat's in a different, he's in the stratosphere. They're on Earth.
Yeah.
Whole different place, right? So Pat is the elite quarterback, and then these guys are great quarterbacks on the second tier. I'm just saying, right? And I mean, listen, okay? Literally, yo, hot take, man. Where are you, hot take? I'll send you a link right now if you want to hop on. I don't even know if he can from that. Hot take, get your account fixed. Yep. My God. Hot take said the Knicks are rolling, as you can see. And yes, when I looked last, I did see that they were winning. But, right, so here's my whole point, right? Unfortunately for the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen cannot win in the playoffs against Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
He basically needs to get Joe Burrow back in the playoffs and hope that Joe Burrow beats him again.
Yeah. Because Lamar can't beat him and Allen can't beat him, and they're the two quarterbacks that are challenging him.
And now, okay, so now let's talk about this actual game. All right? Let's talk about this actual game for a second. The game was the Bills to lose, okay?
Yes, it was.
So in
now,
the third
but before you say, like, how do you feel about that fourth down that was not called because refs?
I don't care about where his helmet was. Where was the ball?
Yeah.
Was he going forward like this, and where was the ball? I think the refs were correct. I'm not going to argue that. The refs were correct. I have no problems with that call personally. But in the third quarter, they gave the ball to Cook continuously. It was either Allen or Cook. They ran every single play. On one drive, they went for like 80 yards, and they ran on every play. They did not pass the ball. They ate up like 10 minutes of clock. There were no points put on the board by the Chiefs in the third quarter, right? Then we get to the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden they start throwing the ball over the place again.
Yeah.
Once you know what's working, why would you stop doing it?
I don't know.
Okay, so that's, first of all, that was a big coaching mistake. Why did you get away from the run in the fourth quarter? Why did Cook have almost no touches in the fourth quarter? Makes zero sense.
Yeah.
They could not stop him all night, and he barely touched it in the fourth quarter. Now, talking about the levels of quarterbacks, if you gave Patrick Mahomes the ball and he was down by 3 points and he had 3 minutes left with a 2-minute warning and timeouts, would he have lost the game?
No.
Josh Allen didn't even get a first down.
Yeah.
How can you blame that on anyone else? The guy had all the time in the world to win that game, and he did.
Yeah. That's why Pat is elite, because you can give him 30 seconds, 5 minutes, you can give him any time in the world, and he shuts down and he wins.
Yo, listen, okay, so you see what somebody just said here? For Patrick Mahomes, I've always said hit him. And if the refs throw a flag, so what? Next time, hit him harder. Right? But you know what? That's right. Go after the guy. The teams choose not to do it because they're worried about getting a penalty, a flag. Here was another one, right? People are talking about flags and penalties in that game. Here's a little stat. There were 6 flags thrown against the Bills during that game. They had 6 penalties. The Chiefs had 5, okay? That's a 1 penalty difference.
Yeah.
Okay, so the narrative that everything is going against one team, it's just not true. Josh Allen was given the ball with ample time, timeouts, a 2-minute warning, everything he needed, and he did not capitalize. Yeah. So
they didn't play the right plays.
You know what I'm saying? Like, who? And then let's fast forward. Josh Allen makes a crazy, like, he avoids a sack. He gets the ball in the air. It gets to Dalton Kincaid, and he drops it.
Yeah.
Like, what? The Chiefs will allow you to make mistakes. In the fourth quarter, that team made coaching mistakes, and the players made mistakes, drop balls. Like, they did not do what they had to do. You could not leave that to a 3-point game and expect to win. Mm-hmm. No, Amari Cooper was not out for the game. He had 1 or 2 receptions early, but I don't know what happened to him either. So Keegan, and I'm glad you actually brought that up. But if you go back to the fourth quarter, you just go, what happened? Why did they have this guy as a receiver? They have this running back who is just killing the Chiefs. Literally, the Chiefs could not stop him on a single play in the third quarter. And you just stop running him. It makes no sense. So congratulations to the Chiefs. I'm very happy for them. I mean, you know what? I'm not happy for the Chiefs. I'm happy because I'm excited for the probability or the possibility, I should say, that we might see a three-peat. It's just like that's an incredible sports moment, and I would love to see that.
Like, think of all sports. All sports. When's the last time you saw a three-peat?
Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm saying? So, like, that's a long time, man. That's like people don't realize, like, this is huge. You know, this is amazing.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, I'm a Giants fan, and so I'm not going to say I'm happy anything about the Eagles, but now let's jump to the NFC side of things. I'll get right to you over here in a second, my guy, former football player. Okay, so now we have the NFC East, an NFC East showdown in the NFC Championship, right? Jaden Daniels, this amazing rookie. He's not the first rookie. He's like the 6th or 7th, something like that, maybe even more. Maybe 9 times it's happened, but it's happened quite a few times that a rookie has gotten to that game, but he's trying to become the first rookie to make it to the Super Bowl, right? He's trying to do something that's never been done. If you talk to anybody, if you remember what we were talking about last week, one of the biggest things that I said is, the Commanders were never going to win that, Keegan. If you remember what we were talking about last week, we brought up how they do not have a run defense, and that got exposed in a glaring fashion last week.
Oh, man. Saquon was just on fire.
If you can't contain Saquon, you can't win.
No.
And so, right now, what we just saw going on in the early part of this is why I think that it's not impossible for the Eagles to win. The Eagles are confirmed in their identity. They are a run-first team. Even though they have Brown, even though they have Smith, Jalen Hurts, they are a run-first team. That is their team's identity. They will just keep running it, right? If they see that it's working, then Saquon's getting the ball, period. Jalen Hurts might take off with it because they know that it's going to work. It's going to keep Pat Mahomes off the field. Biggest part
is keeping Pat off the field. And we're not talking about some 1,500-yard guy. We're talking about a 2,000-yard guy.
One of 9 to ever do it. Pretty amazing. Huge point right there. Also, here's the other thing, right? Versus Tampa or Detroit, they took the ball away. The Eagles had 0 turnovers. The Eagles hold on to the ball. The Eagles make very few mistakes. The Eagles are one of the best put together teams. Like on paper, the Eagles are a better team. Yeah. They have all the pieces, all the tools, defense. Their offensive line is legendary. Okay? Saquon has 1,400 yards before getting touched. That's a legendary offensive line. That's not just an amazing running back. It's a whole different level. So that game, listen, that game was exactly what I knew it was going to be. Saquon went absolutely crazy. You're right. You make a good point, Keegan. The Commanders do have the ability to outscore pretty much anybody, but here's the thing. If a team is and Jaden looked great for a lot of that game, but they had a few turnovers, right? The Eagles let them make the mistakes. The Eagles ran the ball, ran some more. And then when they didn't want to run, they unleashed Jalen Hurts. And people have been hating on Jalen Hurts. Jalen went to the air with no problem. He looked great. He looked great on the ground. He looked great in the air. He looked like what he is, the best quarterback in the NFC. I don't know how long that's going to last. I have high hopes for Jaden Daniels, but to me, that game was what I expected. What I didn't expect was the Eagles to go. Yeah, they turned it over, I think 3 or 4 times in that game for sure. But I did not expect the Eagles tied the highest. So the Eagles basically were at record levels. They 55 points. You cannot let a team score 55 points and think you're going to win.
No.
Right? So we know that team's in good shape. I'm not fearful for the Commanders. They have a defensive-minded coach. Their defense got exposed in their biggest game of the season. So they're going to go back in this offseason and they're going to retool. And I imagine any free agent who has the ability to make a move is going to want to go. They have almost $90 million in cap space, and they have Jaden Daniels, right? So people want to go and play in Washington now. That's like a thing. Like, who doesn't want to play with this young, exciting, electric player, right?
And we're talking about the Commanders. When's the last time he talked to the Commanders? Like 1990s?
1992.
Yeah.
Give or take around there. Long time ago.
30 years. 30 years.
Yeah, give or take. And so it was really exciting to see them make the game. No question about that. I for one, I loved it. I wanted to see them win. Listen, as a Giants fan, if I was going to root for one or the other, the team I'm always going to root against is the Eagles. Even if my guy Saquon could win a Super Bowl on his birthday, and so his birthday is Super Bowl Sunday, I'm still rooting against him. I have to. It's one of those things. But so now that kind of brings us to the Super Bowl. I've already kind of said it. I spelled out my thought process on it. But what do you think? Like, what is the key? What is the key to dethroning Patrick Mahomes this week?
It's that run. It's Saquon just going being Saquon.
And this is why I feel like they can do it. Yes, I hate the Eagles more than the Eagles are my arch nemesis. That's a fact. I do dislike them more than the Cowboys. But right, this game, if the Eagles get that ball first, they need to take advantage. You got to get Saquon going early. You got to get some rushes going with some quarterback design rushes also. Get Jalen's legs moving too, so they know that ball can be going. So there's options out of the backfield, right? It makes them even more dangerous. But the better they run the ball, the less Pat is on the field. You know what I mean? It's a smart, easy recipe for success. So I definitely and here's the thing: the Eagles' defense is absurd. The Eagles' defense is dominant. Their D-line is motley. So I think they can do it. If I'm betting, and I am 100%, I'm betting on the Chiefs. I don't bet against Pat Mahomes. I don't even see what the point in doing that is. But and so Keegan, that's going to be the big thing. You're not going to completely stop Saquon. No. But if you can minimize his damage, right?
And he only ran 100 yards last week. Only 100.
No.
Yeah, it was like barely over 100.
You're wrong. I know you're wrong on that.
Yeah, Gary.
He had one. His first run was for 60 yards. There's no way.
Look at the numbers. I swear to God, it'll surprise you.
I'm going right now. Hold on. We're going to pull up the stats here real quick. You know that. Wait. Why are we not showing the scores here? Hold on a second. Give me a second, people. Let's get these scores here in front of me. Okay, so the score should all be okay. Box score. There we go. That's what I need. The box score. Let's see what Saquon's statistics look like. All right. We got the Commanders here, the Eagles. Okay, so Saquon had 15 carries for 118. Okay, so you're right. 118 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Is long. So, but here's the key to this, right? He averaged 7.9 yards a carry. You can't you got to slow him down. You can't let him get to the end zone. Like, if you can stop him from scoring.
That's what I'm saying, though. He only ran 100 yards. If he goes off, you ain't stopping the Eagles. He dominated this game with 100 yards. He doesn't even have to run more than 100 yards and still this team is so dominant with their defense, their offense. He doesn't have to run more than 100 yards and they'll still win. The fact
that he had 3 rushing touchdowns and only 118 yards.
Yeah.
It's honestly kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Here's just to speak to how dominant the Eagles line is. They brought Shipley in at the end of the game, and Shipley, his first rush was for 59 yards, right? Or 57, excuse me. So he had 77 yards on 4 carries. Like, you can't allow stuff like that.
No.
You know what I mean? Hey, baby. Hey, mommy.
And they say defense wins championships, right? So they got the defense. They got the quarterback. They have the running game. They have the wide receivers. This is the team that the Chiefs fear.
Well, so here's my thing. I actually think that I could see why you say that Devontae Smith is the key to the game. I'm not against that. I think the best player on the Eagles team, like overall, I actually think is the D lineman, Jalen Carter. I think that guy is the biggest problem out there, and I think he's going to make things very difficult for Pat Mahomes. He's got to try and make Pat uncomfortable. That defense has to do their thing. But here's the key, right? And so Keegan just said, I think Devontae Smith is a key to this game. Now, Devontae Smith and Brown, both of those guys are keys to this game because even if Saquon scores 3 touchdowns, we know that the Chiefs are good for 28 to 35 points, give or take, right?
Yeah.
They need to score on this team and score on them often. So Jalen's going to have to be hooking up from the air. They need to have a couple like 3-4 good passing touchdowns. Like, this is going to be tough. But to just assume that you're gonna keep the Chiefs, like the Chiefs didn't. Kelsey had 1 reception last week. Okay, now let's just say Kelsey goes off in this game. All of a sudden, the Chiefs are going to be all over the field. Yeah, and that's the thing is that Pat spreads the ball around. Mm-hmm. So whether it's Pacheco, whether it's Hunt, whether it's Kelsey, whether it's Worthy, whether it's Piron, who ended up getting that last first down they needed to basically shut the game out. When have they said that name the whole season? They haven't. But that's the thing. Whoever needs to step up to make the big play for the Chiefs, whether it's somebody who never does or whether it's someone who always does, whoever needs to do it on that day does it. Right? So every single thing that the Eagles do this week, they're going to have to be firing on all cylinders. Like, the run game, they got to break 100 yards in the rush. There's got to be a couple of great passes from, Smith's got to get one over the top for 40, 50 yards. I mean, there's got to be big plays all over the place. And the defense and former football, I love that you love Jalen Carter. That's my guy too. It's super frustrating as a Giants fan. There are so many players on that team that I think that are like amazing. Nobody is talking about, you know what? You're right, Keegan. Nobody is talking about Pacheco. And you know why? Because Kareem Hunt has done such a good job for them in the backfield, especially in the playoffs so far. So Pacheco's been like a here and there piece, but that's exactly the kind of stuff I'm talking about. All of a sudden, Pacheco's a good guy out of the backfield for receptions. So now suddenly say we get say he has over 4 receptions. That's a problem. That's a huge problem, right? The way they can spread the ball around on that team, the way that they have, right? So Pat can run it, Kareem Hunt can run it, Pacheco can run it, or Isaiah Worthy can run it out of the backfield, right? On going out, Pacheco catches passes, Kelsey catches passes, Worthy catches passes, right? Like I just said, Piron, like they just bring random people out of nowhere if they have to. And then they still have Hollywood Brown. And what about Hopkins? Like, that guy's amazing. They have so many weapons that people don't even think about.
No.
So it's going to be a really tough game. I mean, where I think the Eagles are more like a more well put together team on paper, it's still going to be an uphill battle. Boo-Boo Smith-Schuster, too. That's a fact. Bro, I couldn't believe how good he played in that game. It was out of control. It really okay, so listen, that jet sweep, that was actually a great play, and they had run it the week before, but it was unsuccessful. He got taken for like negative yards. So actually, I was listening to Unsportsmanlike, and Joe Fortenbach, Egan, was saying that he would bet that Xavier Worthy went for over 3.5 yards rushing because he was going to get one of those sweeps and he was going to break one for a first down. And that was going to be an easy bet, right? He was right. He did it a couple of times. So absolutely. But you know what? Now this is what I'm talking about. You start talking to people who are not Chiefs fans. And then they're like, oh, what about this guy? What if he does this guy?
Or this guy? Like, He's got so many weapons, so many threats, and we also know Pat Mahomes doesn't. He can be backwards, and this man can still make a 40-yard pass.
Dude, I mean, listen, it's one of these things. Like, it's just a really dangerous game. Like, both teams have to play mistake-free football, right?
Yeah.
And you're right. You're absolutely right. They did not keep contain on multiple plays, and that's what allowed, right? So if they had somebody playing contain right, that sweep wouldn't work. See, you wrote it right as I was saying it. And Pat Mahomes wouldn't have been able to get 2 rushing touchdowns either, right? But they broke contain on multiple plays. And so when I was young, I was a DN. So that's something I pay a lot of attention to. Like, watching you got to set those boundaries. If you're not setting those boundaries and you let a team like this get outside of you, all hell breaks loose. And we saw it all night against the Bills. So, it's going to be a big game. I mean, for me, this game is going to come down to one of these things where which team slips up first.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to go with. Whoever slips up first is going to take the advantage, and it's going to cost somebody. But
100%.
But these also teams, even if they slip up, they have enough talent to get back in the game. So this is going to be an exciting game, and it's a rematch game too from 2 years ago.
This is a very exciting Super Bowl, and okay, so Pat Mahomes wins this Super Bowl. It puts him on the top tier, right? I'm not going to say he's better than Brady because Brady still has 7, but he'll be the only quarterback in the Super Bowl era to three-peat, period. Maybe ever, right?
Yeah.
Now, listen, what you just put, Keegan, that is what I think could be the difference in this game. If Jalen Hurts can play mistake-free football, they can win it. But if Jalen Hurts throws an interception, that could literally be the game right there. That could be the whole, So right, this is kind of like that proving game. Like, people, when you talk about top 10 quarterbacks, people put Jalen Hurts behind. A lot of people put him behind Goff. They put him behind Stafford. If he wins the Super Bowl, I think he leapfrogs these guys. Like, he's definitely a top 5 quarterback in the league at that point, and it's hard to dispute. So it's just one. Hold on, I gotta look. What does this say? A game in New Orleans. I know a guy from 1985 Bears that said if social media existed back then, they would have probably canceled the game. Yo, listen, that was a different era, man. Different time, different people. No question about that.
Well, my biggest bold joke about the Super Bowl is if the Eagles are winning by halftime, Travis Kelce's going to propose to Taylor Swift to throw the game off.
Dude, last year I asked online, is Travis Kelce going to propose to during the San Francisco Chiefs game? Yeah. I said, is he going to, true or false? He's going to propose after the game, and people were like, "Who cares?" I'm like, bro, that would be crazy. What do you mean?
Yeah. No.
He's the biggest top star in the world.
If the Chiefs are down, he's going to get on one knee. He's going to propose just to throw it off. He's going to do the proposal right at halftime.
I legitimately wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened after the fact. I don't know. They might want to be more private about it, but they're so public in their relationship. Who knows?
Oh, yeah. Well, how do you feel about this one, though? Just because we're talking about the Taylor thing, how she says that her man is arguably the greatest tight end.
Dude, so listen, there's the argument about Gronk, but Gronk left the game too early, right? Yeah. He came back for a little bit, but let's say Gronk and Brady were together that whole time, the way that these guys have been, but these guys, it's only been 5 or 6 years, right? I'm not sure how long Gronk and Brady were together. It might've been 5 or 6 years.
Yeah. But I mean, you're talking about championships. Yeah. You're about Gronk, but arguably greatest KC. Come on, Tony Gonzalez. You can't forget about Tony Gonzalez.
At KC, listen. In the playoffs,
not in the playoffs, but just as a tight end though.
No, I don't know. The playoffs matter. In the playoffs, but in the playoffs, Kelce has Jerry Rice numbers.
Oh yeah,
he's better than Gonzalez.
Yeah.
No way. Gonzalez is a legend in his own right. Excuse me. I'm just fixing the shorts. And don't get me wrong, I'm never going to argue that. But Anyone who says otherwise, like, you're tripping. Are you kidding me? What Kelsey's done in the playoffs alone. Kelsey is such a different animal, because he's like a wide receiver hybrid tight end. He's that kind of
amazing. He's amazing, but in KC, you can't forget about Tony Gonzalez. You just can't.
Of course not. As I'm probably as a KC fan, but like as just a pure football fan, there's no way Tony Gonzalez is better than. Not even possible. Tony Gonzalez is not better than Kelsey. Oh no, I won't hear anything about it. That's crazy talk. And
if Tony Gonzalez had a quarterback like Patrick, then we would have a talk, though. I'll give him that much.
Wow, interesting. Okay, hold on, I'm looking at this. So here's a stat that's interesting. The first time ever that both teams played a Super Bowl in the city and are now playing there again for the second time. KC played Super Bowl 4 versus Minnesota. Philly played Super Bowl 15 versus the Raiders. Each team's second time there. That's an interesting one. And that was that's a Super Bowl 4, Super Bowl 15. That's like different stadium, right? So this is cool. This is really like, as much as people wanted to hate about this game, like, oh, America wants to see the Bills versus the Commanders. Commanders are the Redskins, by the way, everybody. Don't at me. I don't care. But KC against the Eagles, to me, is way more exciting because, like, they really are the two best teams in football. I mean, like, so I feel like exact two teams that should be there are there. A lot of people are saying they're not going to watch it. I've never not watched it. As far back as I can remember, to about age 3, I've never not watched the Super Bowl. And that's as far, I mean, I might have been in the room when I was 1 or 2, but I don't remember it. I remember when I was 3 and better. Not like fond memories of it, but I know I was there for it. But I've never missed a Super Bowl. I'm not going to start on this one. And my wife, as much as she doesn't like the Chiefs, or the Queefs as she calls them, she's absolutely going to want to sit there and talk mess about the Chiefs the whole game and root against them. So we'll be watching, no question about it. And I'm stoked for that, So listen, Super Bowl Sunday is coming. And guys, next week, we're going to do another show. I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know how to do it yet, but I'm going to see if I can run a space on X and broadcast it through my podcast live. So you guys, instead of just writing in, you can be in there and talking mess with us, the week, or 3 days before the Super Bowl, 4 days before the Super Bowl. That's what the goal is. So we'll see if I can get it done for next week. Obviously, we'll still be here for next week. Now, guys, we're not going anywhere right now, but we do like to talk a little bit about some other sports too. So I'm going to jump to the NBA real quick because I just got the nod that my Knicks did win again. Not only did they win, but my guy Jalen Brunson dropped 30 points against the Denver Nuggets. So, I got to talk a little trash now. You know what I mean? The Denver Nuggets are a good team. Don't get me wrong. But, the Knicks beat them 122 to 112. Very exciting. I'm stoked for that. Couple of other games, Toronto and Washington. Toronto actually killed Washington 106 to 82. But Washington's like a double-A team right now. Detroit lost to the Indiana Pacers 133 to 119. The Nets beat Charlotte 104 to 83. It's actually shocking to see things like teams scoring 80-something points. Like, I didn't even know that still happened in the NBA, to be honest.
Yeah, Keegan, we do watch baseball. We're just off season right now.
Oh, Keegan. I'm a hardcore Yankees fan. My whole family is from the Bronx and uptown Manhattan. Die hard. Sometimes I can't watch full Yankees games because my wife is worried that I'm actually going to have a heart attack in the middle of the game. It's that serious for me. Yes, when baseball season comes.
He had something to throw the go Mets in there. Come on,
dude. Of course. Listen, there's nothing. He lives in Queens, so nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But when you get to that point, or when we get to that point, yes, we are definitely going to talk baseball. And right after the Super Bowl, when we have more time to jump into it, we'll start talking about all of the trades that have happened during free agency. And Keegan, I'll actually shoot it to you on X. we have a whole Discord where we have like chats going on about baseball, the whole free agency and all that stuff that's ran by my partner here, Cove. I'm pointing that way, yes. the other way right now, but it points to you. But yeah, so we will get into baseball for sure. But actually, so Keegan, I think you're a Cavs fan, if I'm not mistaken, which is dope. Perfect timing because, I like that. I'll DM you. Absolutely. I'll DM you for sure. We just got an offer for another contributor. I love to hear that. I don't know what Cove's doing. He'll be right back. But tonight was a good bounce back game for the Cavs. A lot of people thought they might slip up and drop the ball against Miami. Miami has got so much turmoil going on right now. If they win a game, it shocks me a little bit. But it's good to see the Cavs did bounce back tonight. So the Cavs are 38-9. They won by a 20-point margin. So it's not like it was like a close game. They cooked. And listen, Donnie Mitchell had 34. Mobley had 22. And who is that? Ty Jerome? Ty Jerome had 20. And that's the only ones I'm going to go in. 20s and 30s. But definitely a huge bounce back game for them. Donnie Mitchell hit 5 3-pointers. He took 11 shots though. So it's a lot, but it was a good bounce back game for them. It was huge because, they got to stave off my New York Knicks. We're making a run right now. So, we're trying to finish out the, get into the All-Star break and come out and become the number one team in the East. I don't know if it's going to happen. It may not. So we still got some games live right now. It looks like Dallas and New Orleans, 2 minutes and 30 seconds left. They're 128 to 121 right now. San Antonio is down 107 to 112 against the Clippers. And Minnesota and Phoenix are 55-59. Phoenix is actually ahead right now. That's a pretty good one right there. And that's only halftime. So there's some good stuff going on in the baseball or basketball world right now. Very exciting because we're almost at the All-Star break, which I don't know if I talked about this last week, but that LeBron's an All-Star again, but he was like he got the most votes out of any player in the league again. He's been in the league for like 22 years. Go somewhere, bro. He's my age. At it. It's unbelievable. Boston is good. Boston won tonight against the Bulls. So, they've managed to kind of hold us off a little bit. If you look at the standings right now, in the East at least, right? So the Cavs are still in first place. They're ahead by 5.5 games. They're 38-9. The Celtics are 33-15, and the Knicks are 32-16. So that's like a Knicks and the Celtics for that 2 and 3 spot. That's kind of big right now. The Bucks are all the way. They're 11 games back. So we're not really paying too much attention to the Bucks. Unfortunately, they can't seem to get it together with Doc Rivers. I don't know, man. It might be time for them to change that up. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Are there more people that are like East Coast basketball fans out there? Chime in. We love to hear about it. We got a couple of guys on here right now. We got a Cavs fan. We got a Knicks fan. Here's the thing. It's going to be hard for them to keep that 1 seed, Keegan, but it's definitely possible. The thing is what happens after the All-Star break? Do the Celtics fully get it together? Like they've dropped some games that I just wouldn't expect, right? So it's tough to say. It is tough to say. But right now, here's really, for me, this has been what the most interesting piece of basketball has been recently, the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets have been cooking, okay? In their last, let's see here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In their last 12 games, they're 10-2, okay? They've been cooking. So, they went from being, middle-tier team to being, they might be number 2 in the division or in the conference. I'm pulling the conference up right now. Yeah, they are. So, Oklahoma City is still sitting pretty with 37-8. 5.5 games back from them are the Houston Rockets at 34-14. they've looked awesome. It would be cool to see them make like a move or two, maybe get an extra piece before the playoffs. But they've been super exciting to watch. Like, I've been having a lot of fun watching the Rockets play basketball. For me, specifically, I'll tell you guys too, what's been kind of like, and Jalen Green's been awesome, but I think Jalen Green just got hurt. But Amen Thompson has stepped up, and like once they got him into the rotation, like full time, kid's been awesome, man. He's been really he's been cutting up recently. So he's been like a really exciting piece for that team. Right now, he's only like averaging almost maybe 14 points, but he shoots over 50%, his field goal percentage in general. He's been great though. He's been, you know what I mean? Like for me, he's been awesome. There's no other way I can say it. He's been like a new spark to that team. I would love to see them keep going on. Cavs need Cam Johnson. I'm not going to argue with that. Listen, okay, so that's a funny thing that you just said. The Rockets aren't all that. The Cavs are that bad. And imagine, I can't even imagine being a Warriors fan right now. Maybe the Warriors. So the Warriors are in the mix for Jimmy Butler. How would you feel if the Warriors got Jimmy Butler? I feel like they wouldn't even do it just because Butler is like so hell-bent on trying to get, like a longer term extension. He's 35. He wants to get an extension that takes him to 40, basically, a max extension. That's like 50 something million a year for him. I don't know that he's going to get that. And I think that's why a lot of teams are balking at him right now. Like teams would add him for a season, but you can tell like he doesn't care about winning a title. If he did, he would have went to the Grizzlies. He had the opportunity. He would have made that move. Like that would have put him in position right now. But a young team like that, they're not going to give a max extension to a 35-year-old man. It's not going to happen. It's unfortunate, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with that guy. It's interesting. And then just to jump back on the Cavs being that bad, here's the thing. I don't think it's that the Cavs are that good. They are at a certain level, but you see them get worn down. Okay. So like they'll look really good for a couple nights and then they play a team who's on the come up like the Rockets and they get cooked. And OKC makes it real hard for them. So here's my thing. Can the Cavs do their thing in a 7-game series? That's what my question is how do they perform in a 7-game series? What do you think about that, Keegan? Can your Cavs outlast a top 3 team in the division through a 7-game series? That's kind of like, for me, that's like it's what the tipping point is. I'm not too sure. I do think the 1, 2, and 3 seeds coming out of the East are going to be in any specific order: the Cavs, the Celtics, and the Knicks. And then outside of that, I don't know. It's a little tough to say. I mean, there's a lot of movement on the back end of things, and teams are not that far apart, so it's hard. In the West, I don't know what's going on in the West, but OKC I think is a lock. The Grizzlies look like they're set for the playoffs. And I think this Rockets team to me, the Rockets are the most dangerous team there is right now. I like them a lot. They're fun to watch, man. They've been a great piece this last couple of weeks. So I'm not too sure. And then guys, it's almost that time of night for us. So before we get out of here, the one thing that we do like to talk about, Cavs. Yeah. You're right, Keegan. In a 7-game series, I don't see them beating anyone either. And that's my thing. I would like the Knicks to get lined up against the Cavs. I would have no problem with that because I think that we could be, if we're healthy. First of all, if Mitch Robinson stays with the Knicks and he's healthy, we'll cook the Cavs. I'm going to tell you right now, we'll cook them. I'm just going to say that if we go with the 2 big man setup and we have him and we have my guy Cat, Carl Anthony Towns, it's lit, bro. It's lit. We got that team. All right. So, guys, last piece for the evening. We always like to talk a little bit on the hockey side of things. That's my guy, Cove's thing here. He's the hockey guy. As you can see, he kind of lays back while I talk my shit about basketball. NHL. What's going on in the NHL? What are the big headlines right now going on in the NHL?
I love how your Vegas, just lost against Dallas the other night.
Okay, first of all, that game had me in shambles. I'm not even going to lie. That game had me in shambles. You go up 2-0, right? But here's what happened. They just let Dallas played an even pace the whole. They didn't come out hot, right? They just put a goal up. Next period, put a goal up. Next period, put a goal up. Now it's tied. Overtime, put a goal up. Game over. Like that.
Then Keegan really's got to throw in the Blackhawks being the best in the league. Come on now.
Keegan, the Blackhawks have a lot of promise.
They do. But
they're not going to the playoffs this year. So, it would be cool to see. How far are we right now? Let's see. I'm going to pull it up right now. Standings. I got to get the Capitals up here. Has there been any movement on that goal record yet? How far?
Slow. It's been slow, but he's getting there. They have promised that he's going to beat the record this year.
The Capitals have 34 wins already.
Yeah.
Wow. The Capitals are good.
Oh yeah, they're dangerous.
Okay, so he's only scored one more goal, so he's still about 20 out, 19 or 20 goals out.
He's 20 out.
Okay. He's still got some time left, right? We're about 55 games in, so he's got 27 games to score 20 goals.
Which is not unheard of for him. Like, it's really not.
Can he do it? That's a real tough one. I'm not gonna lie. That's a tough one right there.
We'd be a lot closer if he didn't screw up his leg. We'd be a lot closer. We'd be talking about the record.
That's a fact. We'd be like right there.
Yeah.
So kind of today in hockey, actually, this one threw me off. This one screwed me up too because I had the Maple Leafs in a parlay. The Maple Leafs got spanked 3-1 today by the Wild. The Wild came out hot. They put up 2 goals in the first period, and it just made it kind of hard from there. Another team that was a little surprising, the Kings. The Kings have been a little mid recently. Like some games they're hot, some games like they got shut out tonight. Bobrovsky must have been in goal because they didn't score.
No, that's the thing though. That's Spencer Knight. Spencer Knight.
Oh, Spencer Knight?
Yeah, Spencer Knight's been taking over. Bobrovsky lost like 5 games in a row, and he's been kind of benched.
Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah, so Spencer Knight. Remember, I'm all about Florida last year. So, yeah, Spencer Knight was been taking over the realm because Bobrovsky's been kind of lately.
This is another interesting one. So the Flyers beat up on the Devils the other night. But then they went to New Jersey today, and they got spanked 5-0. They got shut out bad.
Yeah, Devils to me is the team to watch. Really, they're a hot mess, but they can get it back together.
Well, they have 29 wins on the season, so they're still they're in good position, right?
Yeah, they're in great position
right now. Top 2 teams, Florida and the Maple Leafs each have 30 wins in the Atlantic. In the Metropolitan, the Capitals and the Canes, 34 and 31 wins, respectively. Right behind the Canes with 29 wins are the Devils. So they're right there. They're not far off.
No.
Kind of scary. The Rangers are actually – so they have 24 wins. So do the Blue Jackets, but they have 3 more losses than them. So the Blue Jackets are actually ahead of them in the standings. For me, it's still the West. I think that's the most dangerous, right? The West Central, the Winnipeg Jets have 35 wins. The Stars just went in and took a tough game at home from the Golden Knights. You can't mess with a team like that. They have all the right tools. They can beat pretty much anybody. So they're a tough one. Minnesota Wild are another tough one. Colorado Avalanche are the fourth place team. They've got 29 wins in the Central. And then in the Pacific, you got the Oilers, you got the Golden Knights, and you got the Kings. Now, the Kings are a little bit back. They've only got 26 wins. You got the Golden Knights and Edmonton both over 30 wins on the season. What are you thinking about this season? Like, is there anything that's unexpected for you right now? Is there, what do you think?
I'm not expecting it. It's just right now, my mind is like I'm more on this new tournament that's coming up in 10 days. The Four Nation Cup.
Oh, okay. Sweden, U.S., Canada, and
Finland.
Finland is the fourth one.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the new twist for the NHL. Is the Four Nation Cup.
Tell us about it.
I don't know much about it because it's really brand new. But we have the four nations going up against each other during the All-Star break, and that's how they're going to do the All-Star break this year, pretty much.
Oh, so that's the all. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Let me Google Four Nations Cup. For those that don't know about this going on, this is kind of a new twist to the NHL.
Yeah.
So 2025, the Four Nations face off.
Yeah.
How does this? I want to see how this works.
It's kind of like it's like a couple day event or whatever. It's from like February 12th to February 17th. It's like 5 days. It's just kind of like they play each other round robin, and they go to the end. It's kind of like the NBA Cup, but it's going to be it's Four Nation Cup.
Oh, this is pretty cool. So it's gonna be held between Montreal and Boston. It's actually 8 days.
Oh, is it 8 days?
Yeah. So it's 5 days of tournament play.
Yeah.
And then 3 days later is the championship game.
Okay. Yeah.
So the championship game is on the 20th. But this should be an interesting one.
Well,
right?
That's what I was talking about. It's 5 days. Is the 12th to the 17th, and then they have the championship. Yeah, that's what I meant by that.
This is cool. This is cool.
But this is what's scaring a lot of teams because they're going to go into this and they're scared that guys are going to hurt themselves.
I mean, it's definitely a possibility, right? Like, especially in a lot of sports, people play with a lot of passion, I guess I'll say,
and
when it comes to playing for their country.
And you're wearing your country on your chest. Like that's what
I'm saying. So when people are playing for their country, there's a different level of pride that goes into it. Like, for instance, Joel Embiid was able to play healthy for a gold medal this summer in the Olympics, and he's only played 13 games since.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just figured I'd have to take a quick shot at him. Keegan, yes, they only have 16 wins, 29 losses on the season, and 5 draws. I
don't think they're in last place. I don't think they're in last place. I forget who's in last place, but it's the Sharks. The Sharks are the worst team in the league, I think.
The Sharks are okay. So in the Central, the Blackhawks are last place, but in the whole Western Conference, they're second to last. Yeah, the Sharks are the worst team out there. This is interesting. My man Jimmy loves them. I don't know where the former football player went, but he knows my guy Jimmy. Another former football player from the NFL. He's a huge San Jose fan, so I always see him posting up pics of that. But unfortunately, they're not doing too hot. So, but the hockey season, to me, it's a long one, right? 82 games. It's like the NBA, but it's way more physical. So there are a lot of people that end up getting hurt. Is it like?
It is like the WCC. Like they are restricting players because, like I said, they're worried about players getting injured and getting hurt during this tournament and then coming back in their playoff runs. So they got to protect players. So
now if they restrict players' time, how does that work? Like X amount of minutes a game, or they'll have totally different rotations for each game?
So right now it's up in the air with the NHL, because the next 2 weeks is going to be focused on this cup, and then people will come back in, but we don't know how it's going to affect them. Like Jacob Markstrom was going to play, but now he's not because he's out 6 or 8 weeks. So it's kind of has affected some teams, like being injured beforehand, could be injured. You could lose somebody in this tournament. Because I like this better as an NHL fan because the All-Star game is kind of dry. They kind of just touch each other. They don't really hit each other. But they'll actually hit each other. They'll play because it's for their country. So
if you had to guess, what's the championship game going to be?
Well, you arguably probably would say Canada versus U.S. because they're probably the most stacked teams. But the thing is, Team Sweden, they have some dangerous talents. Team Finland's got some dangerous talents. So we really don't know where this final is going to be. I will say it. I don't see a Canada versus US. I say Canada or US is going to represent, but I feel like it's going to be Sweden. I think Sweden versus US or Sweden versus Canada is where it's going to be.
I hope the US makes it. Obviously you're Canadian, so you're rooting for Canada. I'm rooting for the US.
Yes.
So yeah, Keegan, the way it is players from those specific countries will be playing for their teams. Now, so how does this work, right? If somebody's like all-star level play, but their country isn't in that tournament, can they be involved? Like how would Ovechkin play in that tournament?
He won't.
There's your answer, Keegan. So there won't be randoms. It'll be focused on players from those countries.
He is right though. He is like the World Baseball Classic, stuff like that. If you are Canadian but have U.S. roots and you don't make Team Canada, U.S. can cherry pick you to play for Team USA.
Okay, but it can't be like there won't be a Russian playing on Team Finland.
No. You have to be from that country. Like you have to have people. You have to be able to play that. Play for that team. Like I'll give you a weird one for baseball. Like Andrew Jones did not get picked for Team USA. He played for Team Netherlands because he had Netherlands roots in his family.
Okay. That's cool. So, all right, this is going to be interesting. This will be a fun one to watch. So, like, if you're into the NHL, guys, if you're not that into the NHL and you're looking for a reason to get back into hockey, this could be the time to do it. Check out the Four Nations Cup. It's going to be kind of like the all-star break for hockey this year, going from February 12th to the championship game on the 20th. And then the second half of the season or the latter part of the season that takes us into the Stanley Cup.
This is going to be more like an Olympic break for them. So a lot of players, if they get hot, they're going to slow down. Or if you had a slow down, they might get hot because there's going to be a significant break here for the players.
Yeah, 2 weeks is a lot for some of these guys. That's pretty serious. So when's the last? Let me look at the schedule here. When's the last game before this starts?
I think it's just around the Super Bowl time. I think it's just around the Super Bowl when the last game happens.
Let me see here. Boom.
I would suspect that February 8th would be the last, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep. Yeah, it looks like that should be right. Okay, no, it'll go through February 9th. There'll be 2 games. And then that following Monday, February 10th, through that next week. Right.
So it's a 2-week break after that.
Yep. So the championship will be Thursday the 20th, and then hockey will resume. I think it might. Oh, wow. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, so the championship is going to be the 20th, and then hockey's going to pick back up on the 21st. So it'll be an 11-day. It'll be an 11-day hiatus for some of these guys. Yeah. So should be interesting for sure. I'm pretty excited for that. That's gonna, Keegan. That would be cool, and yeah, they should because hockey is way more diverse than 4 countries.
It is, but unfortunately, you're not going to have Russia. There's not enough Czechs in the league or Slovakians and stuff like that to make a team. That's why they made it 4 nations, because they picked the 4 dominant countries that have the most players in the league. And that's why they only picked the 4 nations.
If relations were better,
plus it's new, they might reintroduce another 1 or 2 teams next year. But you got to have enough players to be able to make the teams.
If the U.S. wasn't in a proxy war like we are right now with Russia, with this whole Ukraine thing, then we might see Russia and one other team in there, and they might make it a bigger pool. But for now,
it would be Slovakia. It would be Slovakia, like the World Juniors and stuff like that. So he does right. They do got to make it more than 4 countries. But when they've done this before, they did the 4 nation, not the 4 nation cup, but they had Team North America versus the world. Like that's what they had before when they did the twist a couple years back. And it was Team North America.
Team North America would probably be savage. Canada and the US.
That's why they won it all. Like it was Team North America the last time they did this stuff, and you had everybody. You had Crosby, you had everybody, like the best of the best was like loaded on that team. It was like, what the hell? Like you had too much talent on that team with the Team North America.
Okay, for sure. All right. Well, listen, guys, it's that time of night for us. Just after 7:30, we usually run for about an hour or so. That's pretty much all I got for the evening. Cove, is there anything that you wanted to give a specific shout out to?
No, we're gonna try, like Keegan said about, and Keegan, you can hit me up. I do the baseball podcast weekly. We it's strictly Yankees, but we allow every fans because we have a Detroit fan on the roster, so we can include you into it if you want to talk baseball. That's like my main thing. I was doing all last year. That's how I met Vince here. I did baseball all year. We're gonna pick it up starting around the Grapefruit League, which starts up mid-February. And we'll be talking Grapefruit League. That's the idea. It's called Bronx Bullpen because we're Yankee fans, but we are inclusive. We'll let all fans come in, talk Grapefruit League, and all that stuff. Oh, you really have to bring in the Cubs. The Cubs.
Dude, listen, Keegan, you'll have a blast, though. Our spaces, the baseball spaces and the podcast are awesome. It's a lot of fun. So definitely, guys, look out for that. Cove will be the host on the baseball side of things, and we will be looking forward to that as the season kicks off and starts to move into spring training next month. That's pretty much all I got for this week. The last thing, like I said, next week, guys, we're going to try and make this super more interactive. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but I think I know how to do it. We're going to have a space running on X, and I'm going to be broadcasting live. So when you guys are talking in the space, that'll all be on here. Yeah, that's cool. It's Keegan DM. But so, so like rather than just sending messages, we'll have the space going, right? And like we'll be the moderators, right? But we'll all be able to talk and everybody we'll be able to really jump in and dive in on the Super Bowl before the game happens next Sunday. Right? So we're gonna try something new. We're gonna try and merge technologies and get this going. We're gonna have a space and podcast going at the same time next week. So for anybody who's watching, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on X, whether you're on YouTube, if you prefer the YouTube or Facebook, tune in there. If you're already with us on X, then hopefully you can jump in and put your opinions in there. We'd love to have more people. And of course, we love to have a little chat. That's all I got, guys. And thank you for popping into Vinny's Corner. We'll see you next week.